The Temple of Lara was built to make mortals feel small. Its ceiling stretched so high it seemed to touch space itself. Crystal pillars rose like frozen lightning. Silver light from the twin moons filtered through transparent arches, painting the marble floor in blue and gold patterns. Princess Serai stood at the center of it all. Her blue skin shimmered softly beneath ceremonial light. Golden braids fell over her shoulders. Her long, elegant ears were lifted in calm royal focus. She had performed this ceremony many times before, welcoming envoys, rejecting suitors, smiling with perfect control. For 10 years she had held one vow. She would not choose a partner until she felt the sign. The sign spoken of by the ancient seers. The unnameable certainty. She had turned away asteroid kings, plasma warlords, even a prince who controlled 3 star systems. None of them were the one. But today, something felt different. Her pulse was uneven. The air felt charged, as if destiny itself was holding its breath. At the edge of the human delegation stood Lieutenant Marcus Webb. Marcus had faced orbital strikes. He had survived alien wildlife on Titan Outpost. He once fixed a malfunctioning reactor with duct tape and stubbornness. But nothing prepared him for this temple. He leaned slightly toward the officer beside him. "Is it normal," he whispered, "for a building to look more expensive than my entire planet?" The officer elbowed him sharply. "Stand straight. And do not touch anything." That was important. Marcus had a history with diplomatic objects. They rarely survived. Serai continued her speech. Her voice flowed like calm water. Then, she saw him. Not special armor. Not glowing energy. Just a human soldier with dark hair and nervous eyes. And yet, the world narrowed. Her breath caught. The seer's old prophecy echoed in her mind. You will know him not by power, but by certainty. Her ears lowered slightly. Her heart knew before her mind did. It was him. At that exact moment, Marcus shifted his weight. His boot clipped a decorative pedestal. The ceremonial blade balanced on top slid, spun, and crashed loudly onto the marble floor. The sound echoed like thunder. Silence filled the temple. Every noble froze. Every guard stiffened. Marcus stared at the fallen blade. "Please tell me that wasn't important." A pale diplomat whispered, "It symbolically represents 1,000 years of imperial balance." Marcus closed his eyes. "Of course it does." Across the hall, Serai stared at him. Her sacred blade lay broken at his feet. Her vow, shattered in the same instant. And somehow, instead of anger, she felt warmth. The absurdity, the honesty, the complete lack of calculation. For the first time in 10 years. She almost smiled during ceremony. The guards shifted toward Marcus. He raised his hands quickly. "I swear I didn't mean to start a war." One guard smiled. That was never good. But Serai lifted her hand. The guard stopped. Her voice remained steady. "The ceremony continues." Yet inside, everything had changed. The trials begin. Marcus woke the next morning in a guest chamber that was either luxurious or a very polite prison. The walls glowed faintly. A floating orb hummed gently above his bed. He sat up carefully. "Okay," he muttered. "New planet. Don't break anything today." The door slid open. 2 attendants entered with a tray of glowing blue fruit. The fruit pulsed softly, like it was breathing. Marcus stared. "Does it bite?" The attendants blinked. "It is nourishment." He took one bite. It vibrated in his mouth. He swallowed with effort. "Interesting." The attendants watched carefully. He forced down 3 bites before gently pushing it away. "I respect it. But I don't trust it." The attendants exchanged surprised looks. He had passed. He did not know he was being tested. Trial 2. Combat. Later that morning, 6 royal guards escorted him to the training courtyard. Marcus saw the circle forming. "Oh no," he sighed. "I know this look." The lead guard bowed slightly. "We request a friendly demonstration of strength." Marcus pointed at himself. "I trip over flat surfaces." The guards lunged. Marcus reacted on instinct. Years of battlefield training kicked in. He dodged, pivoted, used their momentum against them. He did not strike hard, just redirected force. Within seconds, the guards collided into each other. A pile of confused alien warriors lay on the ground. Marcus held his hands up. "Please stop falling. I am not attacking you." The lead guard stood, bruised, impressed. "You are combat compatible." Marcus blinked. "I'm barely breakfast compatible." High above, hidden behind a balcony pillar, Princess Serai watched. And for the first time in public, she laughed. Softly, warmly. Her ears trembled with emotion. He did not fight with cruelty. He did not show pride. He protected even those testing him. Another trial passed. Without him knowing. Trial 3, Mind. In the afternoon, nobles formed a circle around Marcus. This never meant anything simple. An elder stepped forward. "Explain the philosophical meaning of cosmic symmetry." Marcus froze. He looked around. He scratched his head. "Symmetry is nice." Silence. Gasps. Whispers. "He speaks in pure essence." A minimalist thinker. Marcus blinked. "I just like things even." Applause erupted. He bowed awkwardly, which somehow impressed them more. Above, Serai pressed her palm to the railing. "He passes," she whispered to herself. "He passes everything." But one final test remained. The most dangerous one. Emotional resonance. The private chamber. That evening, Serai wore her ceremonial veil. A hood woven with threads of light. It allowed her to speak without breaking royal law. Marcus entered the quiet chamber carefully. He saluted a statue by accident. Corrected himself. Almost tripped. At least nothing broke. The hooded figure stepped forward. Lieutenant Marcus Webb. He straightened. "Yes, Your Highness. You have faced much today." He gave a tired smile. "If by faced much you mean attacked by fruit and gravity, yes." A gentle laugh escaped her. He recognized the voice. "It's you," he said softly. She lowered the veil slightly. Enough for him to see her eyes. They glowed softly. "There is something I must tell you," she began. He braced himself. "If it's about the blade, I'm very sorry." Her ears dipped. "It is not about the blade." Before she could continue, the chamber doors opened suddenly. An advisor rushed in. "Your Highness, the Council prepares a petition. The human has completed the 3 trials. They demand the final evaluation." Marcus paled. "Final." Serai dismissed the advisor. Silence returned. She looked at Marcus carefully. "You are not required to do this." He studied her expression. For the first time, he saw uncertainty. Not a princess. Not a symbol. Just her. He stepped closer. "I don't understand your traditions," he said quietly. "But I know you're trying to protect me." Her ears froze mid-motion. He swallowed. "And I know you laugh around me." He immediately regretted speaking. "I mean, not at me, in a good way." She did not laugh. Instead, her expression softened. "You have already passed every test," she whispered. "That," he said nervously, "is what scares me." The Hall of Resonance. The final chamber was enormous. Hundreds of nobles filled the terraces. Floating spheres pulsed with energy. At the center hovered a large crystal orb. The Orb of Resonance. Serai stood tall. "The Council requests demonstration of truth." Marcus swallowed. "Truth feels dangerous." She placed her palm on the orb. It glowed softly. He followed. The orb brightened. The hall grew silent. Serai spoke, not to the council. To him. "When I saw you in the temple, I felt certainty." He swallowed. "I dropped your sacred blade." "Yes," she said gently. "Memorable." The orb pulsed brighter. He took a breath. "I don't understand destiny. I don't understand your customs. But I know that when you look at me, I feel like I can become better. Murmurs spread. He continued. You make me want to protect things instead of break them. A small laugh rippled through the hall. And if this sign is real, then I want to face whatever comes next. With you. Silence. Then, the orb exploded in brilliant light. Blue and gold waves flooded the chamber. Perfect alignment. Perfect resonance. The council rose. The Empress stepped forward. The bond is acknowledged. Marcus blinked. That's good. Sarai smiled. Yes. Very good. Music filled the hall. Energy hummed warmly through the palace. Marcus exhaled deeply. He had not planned for this. He had not trained for prophecy. But somehow, he belonged. Sarai stepped closer. One final question remained. Not as princess. Not as prophecy. As herself. Will you stay, she asked softly, because you choose to? He didn't hesitate. Yes. The palace lights shimmered. As if the world itself approved. And in that moment, the human who broke the blade of fate became the future of an empire. The celebration did not last long. Music still echoed through the hall of resonance. Nobles were still singing in layered harmonies. The orb of resonance still glowed faintly between blue and gold. Then, every light in the chamber flickered. The sound cut out. The glowing panels along the walls shifted from soft gold to violent red. A deep alarm rolled through the palace like distant thunder. Marcus looked up. That doesn't sound ceremonial. Sarai's ears lifted sharply. No, she whispered. It does not. The great doors of the hall sealed shut with a heavy metallic crash. Energy barriers shimmered over the entrances. The Empress turned toward the hovering holographic display forming in the center of the chamber. A fleet had appeared above Lara. Unidentified. Massive. Silent. The display zoomed in. Dark warships shaped like broken blades drifted in orbit. Their hulls were jagged, scarred, built for war. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. Those are not diplomats. Sarai's voice grew tight. They are Varkesh. A murmur of fear spread across the nobles. The Varkesh Dominion had not approached Lycerian space in over 50 years. They were conquerors. Expansionists. They believed strength alone granted the right to rule. And they hated weakness. A bond ceremony between a princess and an alien soldier. To them, it would look like weakness. The hologram shifted. A transmission forced its way through palace defenses. The image of a towering armored figure appeared. Black armor. Crimson eyes. Scar across his face. High Commander Draith of the Varkesh Dominion. His voice was deep and metallic. Empress of Lara. We detected an unusual energy surge from your planet. A resonance event. His eyes narrowed. You bind your royal bloodline to a human. The hall grew silent. Marcus stood straighter. Draith continued. The Dominion will not tolerate instability in this sector. We demand explanation. The Empress stepped forward, her posture ancient and unshaken. The affairs of Lara are not subject to Dominion approval. Draith's lips curled. Then perhaps Lara requires correction. The transmission cut. Moments later, the palace trembled. Not violently, but deliberately. A warning shot. Marcus clenched his jaw. They're testing your shields. Sarai looked at him sharply. You recognize this tactic? He nodded. Pre-invasion intimidation. They want fear before attack. Above them, the holographic map showed Varkesh ships spreading into formation. The Empress turned to her generals. Activate full planetary defense. Energy grids ignited across Lara's atmosphere. Blue shields shimmered around the world. But the Varkesh fleet did not fire again. They waited. Marcus frowned. That's worse. Sarai looked at him. What do you mean? They're not attacking yet because they want something. As if summoned by his words, a second transmission cut in. Draith again. This conflict can be avoided. The hall stiffened. You will surrender the human. Silence. Sarai's ears flattened in disbelief. The human has disrupted your prophecy. He is destabilizing your rule. Remove him. Publicly. Draith leaned closer to the camera. Or we remove him ourselves. The transmission ended. The hall exploded into argument. Give him up. No. The Dominion will invade. This is because of the bond. Marcus stood very still. He had heard that tone before. He had seen this moment before. On other worlds. Different skies. The outsider becomes the easiest solution. He stepped forward. I can leave. Sarai turned sharply. No. He looked at her carefully. If I'm the target, I remove myself. That's strategy. Her eyes burned brighter. You are not a bargaining chip. Another tremor shook the palace. Closer this time. One Varkesh cruiser had fired a focus strike on an outer defense station. Not enough to destroy. Enough to show capability. The Empress raised her hand. Silence fell again. We will not surrender one who stands under Lycerian protection. Her voice was steel. Prepare planetary defense formations. The nobles looked uneasy. The Dominion fleet outnumbered Lara's defense ships 3-1. Marcus exhaled slowly. Sarai. She turned to him. You said I passed your trials. Yes. Then let me pass one more. Her ears tilted slightly. What are you proposing? He looked at the holographic display. They're not attacking because they want psychological dominance. They believe your people will fracture. They are not wrong, she said quietly, glancing at the nervous nobles. Marcus nodded. Then we don't fight them the way they expect. He pointed at the Varkesh formation. See that gap between their forward destroyers? That's a communication relay ship. A Lycerian general narrowed his eyes. You identify their command vessel. Marcus shook his head. Not command. Signal amplification. It boosts fleet synchronization. You disable that, their coordination drops. The general hesitated. How do you know this? Marcus met his gaze calmly. Humans fought them once. Briefly. We lost that battle. A quiet tension filled the hall. But we studied everything. Sarai stepped closer. You wish to strike first. He nodded. Small squad. Fast ships. Hit the relay before they expect resistance. It sends a message. The Empress studied him. You are not a fleet commander. No, Marcus admitted. I'm infantry. He took a breath. But sometimes the smallest move changes the board. Silence stretched. Then, the Empress turned to her generals. Prepare a strike team. Sarai's breath caught. You cannot mean. I do. The Empress looked at Marcus. You will advise. But you will not go. Marcus hesitated. Every instinct screamed to volunteer. But this was not his world. He nodded reluctantly. Yes, Your Majesty. The first strike. Within minutes, sleek Lycerian fighters launched from hidden bays beneath the palace. Their hulls shimmered like liquid crystal. Marcus stood beside Sarai in the command chamber. He pointed at the display. Wait until their patrol cycle rotates. The fighters drifted quietly through shield cover. The Varkesh ships remained still. Confident. Arrogant. Now, Marcus said. The Lycerian fighters burst forward. Energy lances fired. Precise. Focused. The relay ship's shield flared brightly. Then collapsed. A second volley struck its engine core. The vessel exploded in a silent bloom of white fire. Across the hologram, Varkesh ships staggered out of formation. Their synchronized patterns fractured. Marcus allowed himself a small breath. They didn't expect pushback. Sarai looked at him with something like awe. You read them. He shrugged lightly. They read like bullies. But the victory was short-lived. The Varkesh fleet adjusted quickly. 3 heavy cruisers pivoted toward the attacking fighters. They're retaliating, a general warned. The fighters attempted retreat. One was caught in a beam of concentrated plasma. It vanished in a flash. Sarai flinched. Marcus's jaw tightened. War was no longer theoretical. The Varkesh transmission returned. Drath's expression was darker now. You choose resistance. His voice was colder. Very well. The fleet surged forward. This time, no warning shots. Massive energy cannons fired. The planetary shields rippled violently. The palace trembled harder than before. Marcus grabbed a console for balance. They're committing. Sarai's ears lowered slightly, but her voice was steady. Then we stand. The battle filled the sky above Lara. Blue defensive beams clashed against crimson Dominion weapons. Explosions blossomed like violent stars. Marcus watched carefully. They're probing shield weak points. He turned to the nearest officer. Rotate shield frequency in staggered patterns. The officer hesitated. That will destabilize the harmonic grid. For 6 seconds, Marcus said. But it'll throw off their targeting lock. The Empress gave a sharp nod. Do it. The shields shifted frequency. Varkesh cannons misfired slightly. Their next volley scattered wide. Several shots missed entirely. A ripple of hope passed through the command chamber. Sarai looked at Marcus. You think like a battlefield. He met her gaze. I grew up in one. The personal target. Suddenly, a new alert flared red. High-velocity object entering atmosphere. The hologram zoomed in. A single Varkesh dropship had broken from the fleet. Its trajectory, directly toward the palace. Marcus felt ice in his veins. That's not invasion. What is it? Sarai demanded. Extraction. The dropship punched through shield layers, sacrificing its outer hull. Burning, but unstoppable. It slammed into the palace's upper terrace. The entire structure shook violently. Guards rushed toward impact zones. Marcus turned to Sarai. They're coming for me. Her eyes flashed. They will not take you. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor. Metal tearing. Doors bending. A squad of Varkesh shock troopers burst into the chamber. Towering. Armored. Weapons glowing. The nobles screamed. Guards formed a defensive line. Marcus stepped forward instinctively. No. Sarai grabbed his arm. You are not armed. I don't need to be. The first Varkesh trooper charged. Marcus dodged sideways. Grabbed its arm. Used its own weight to flip it into a console. Electric sparks burst. He disarmed a second attacker with a precise strike to a joint seam. Sarai watched in stunned focus. He moved fast. Efficient. No wasted motion. Not reckless. Controlled. A third trooper aimed directly at Sarai. Marcus intercepted the blast with a fallen energy shield. The impact threw him backward. He hit the floor hard. Pain shot through his side. But he stood again. The Varkesh hesitated. This was not the weak species they expected. Sarai stepped forward now. Her hands glowed with focused Lycerian energy. She unleashed a concentrated wave. 2 troopers were thrown against the far wall. The last one activated a beacon on its armor. Marcus recognized it instantly. They're marking our location for orbital strike. He lunged. Ripped the device free. Crushed it under his boot. The trooper roared. Then collapsed under combined guard assault. Silence fell. Smoke filled the chamber. Marcus breathed heavily. Blood trickled from his forehead. Sarai rushed to him. You are injured. I've had worse breakfasts, he muttered weakly. Despite everything. She laughed. Soft. Relieved. But the battle outside still raged. A message to the stars. The Varkesh fleet pulled back slightly. Testing. Recalculating. Drath appeared once more. But this time. He was not smiling. You resist beyond expectation. Marcus stepped into view beside Sarai. Drath's eyes locked onto him. So, human. Marcus crossed his arms. You came a long way just to kidnap me. Drath studied him carefully. You fight for a world not your own. Marcus shook his head. No. I fight for someone. The silence between them was heavy. Drathir's gaze flicked briefly to Sarai. Then back. You believe this bond makes you strong? Marcus answered calmly. No. Choice makes us strong. Behind him, Lycerian fleets reorganized. Confidence growing. Unity forming. The nobles no longer whispered fear. They stood together. Drath finally spoke again. This is not finished. The transmission ended. Moments later, the Varkesh fleet began retreat formation. Not defeated, but repelled. For now, the sky above Lara slowly cleared. The planetary shields dimmed. The command chamber remained silent. Then, applause began. Not ceremony. Not ritual. Respect. For the human who stood when fear spread. Sarai turned to him quietly. You were never weakness. Marcus exhaled. I was just trying not to break anything. She stepped closer. You changed more than our prophecy. He looked at her carefully. What happens now? Her ears lifted slowly. Now the galaxy knows Lara stands with humanity. He gave a half smile. That's either inspiring, or going to start more wars. She smiled back. Perhaps both. Outside, the stars shimmered peacefully again. But somewhere in deep space, the Dominion was watching, planning, and this was only the beginning.